This World War II film is rare because not only do we know when and where it was made, but who made it. As the clapperboard states, it is Southampton docks on the 5th of July 1944, almost a month after D-Day. We know this information because the next frame tells us it was made by V. Garrell and Sergeant R. Mayer, members of the 166th Signal Photo Company, embedded with the US Army, who were completely autonomous from local command and often working ahead of main elements of any task force. Because of the necessary secrecy at the time surrounding the Normandy landings, local people, even today, are not aware of the role the port played in Operation Overlord and the liberation of Europe. The quayside in the film shows Southampton's western or new docks completed in 1934. This is the same quayside that modern-day cruise liners disembark their passengers, many of them oblivious to the fact that they are landing in the same place Allied soldiers left from in 1944. From the information given in the contemporary film by the cameraman, we also know that the American GIs are part of Patton's Third Army. Major William B. Shop Shepherd says about the time, "We were responsible for moving all our corps, most of the Third Army and 20 Corps, across the Channel. I never worked so hard in my bloody life. The system for moving troops to the far shore was based on previously established priority tables called build-up priority tables. There was a BUCO, Build-Up Control Organization at Southampton, and Little BUCO on the continent. A shipping schedule was worked out, but this broke down due to some units being lost, others not arriving on time, or because of the inability to obtain proper equipment. Part of the Chief of Staff's job was that of making an educated guess as to when a unit would be ready, and then assigning it to a shipping date. This schedule then had to be worked out with BUCO, who did the shipping. To add to the confusion, phantom telephone calls would be received from Army requesting that certain units be immediately shipped. Sometimes these units were not ready or had not even arrived. The connections were always bad and guesses had to be made as to just what unit and strength were required. At other times units would be ready ahead of schedule and the Navy had to be persuaded to take them as soon as possible, the joint aim being to keep the boats running continuously. Although the camera team were obviously not to know it at the time, the men on the ships, some little more than boys, were to make their way to the Cotin Peninsula in Normandy and after heavy fighting in Brittany, break loose and race across France to the Moselle River, cutting into the German winter defensive positions. Under Patton's leadership, elements of the Third Army raced 150 miles in 19 hours to attack the southern flank of the German forces during the Battle of the Bulge. After 4 days of fighting, the German siege of Bastogne was broken, and the last major German offensive of World War II was brought to an end. As can be seen from the following rolls of film, it was Mayer and Garrell that were responsible for charting the deployment of the Third Army during Operation Overlord. Not much is known of Garrell, and there is not much on the official record of Sergeant Russ Mayer, possibly because of his later career as a sexploitation filmmaker. However, he claims he learned his craft photographing scenes of World War II and was proud of what he achieved during this experience and the strong bond he developed with some of the combat buddies lasting until the very end. Yet it is thanks to these two men we have this unique record of a significant aspect of Operation Overlord. It is thanks to these two we also have a visual record of the importance of the role of the port of Southampton during this period. Although there is no memorial, there is a plaque on the dock gates no more than a few hundred yards from the quayside which reads 1939 to 1945. This tablet was presented to the Southern Railway by the 14th Major Port United States Army in proud and glorious memory of the men and women of the forces of the United Nations who sailed from this port during the Great War against aggression to secure the freedom of mankind.